Greetings, everyone. So this is going to be a very quick, fast presentation about scholarship tips because the South Plains College scholarship application is due March the 1st. And I wanted to get this out there for y'all that may be interested in applying. But this is actually applicable to scholarships across the board. So I'm Kelly Powell with the Reese Campus Advising and Testing, and we're going to get moving. So, of course, grades are always important to scholarship applications. The higher the grade, the more competitive you are. But there are also other things that scholarships look for and that reviewers look for. And always keep in mind, it's how you market yourself as you move forward, okay? So other things that matter beside GPA that you want to think about and that you want to play up in your scholarship application: extracurricular activities like volunteer work, student organizations, major specific organizations and clubs, and be creative when you're looking at that. Work, especially work that is relevant to your major. So if you have to have a job and you have a choice, try to get a job that is relevant to your major. So, for instance, if you were trying to get into nursing, you might not be able to work as a nurse, but could you be the front desk person in a doctor's office? That's probably more advantageous to you than working at Chili's, okay? Nothing wrong with working at Chili's. It's just that connects you a little bit more to your major. Letters of recommendation, they need to be professional, academic. So this is where it's really important. You need to get to know your faculty members, the people teaching your classes, specifically in your major area of interest. We don't want letters of recommendation from high school. You're in college now, those need to be college. Also, things that can sometimes play into getting scholarships, especially when you transfer, is contact with your intended college and the major of choice. So at the university level, especially, a lot of money is departmental based. For instance, if you go to Texas Tech, the College of Agricultural and Natural Sciences, they give out some of the most scholarship money of all colleges on campus because they are the oldest college on campus. So a lot of money is departmental. Making contact with that departmental advisor, that departmental faculty member can connect you to those opportunities. As always, think about the things that make you unique, that make your journey unique. And it might not be something that you actually think of when you think about scholarships. For instance, are you a non-traditional student? My nephew is epileptic. The people that make the drugs that he takes for his epilepsy have a scholarship, so that makes him unique. You want to be thinking about not competing with everybody in the nation, but the things that make you unique and only competing with people in that group or category. So, student organizations and activities in college. Extracurricular activities need to be college level, not high school. Also, you need to be involved at the college level. Student organizations, especially ones in your major, can actually lead to money for school. So there are some organizations, and this is not an extensive list, these are just some examples, that are professional organizations that have student memberships, that if you're a student, it means scholarship dollars. So an example is Psychi, this is the psychology organization, Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers, the American Society for Mechanical Engineers, American Welding Society. These are all organizations that have scholarships for students pursuing majors in those areas. Also, Phi Theta Kappa, PTK. We have a branch of this at South Plains College. If you are invited, this is an honor society, join, okay? So if you're invited to PTK, join PTK. One of the benefits of PTK is there are scholarships for PTK scholars that you only get invited to apply for if you're in PTK, okay? I believe the contact person for PTK is Dr. Christina Garrett, so you might contact her. Think about activities outside the box. Think about your volunteer work that you already do. There are probably things that you do that you don't think of as being extracurricular that you already do. Do you volunteer at church? Are you a member of Rotary, the Kiwanis Club, Veterans of Foreign Wars, any of those organizations? Those may be things, the Elks Lodge. Those may be things that you are already part of and that you already participate in, but you don't really think of it as extracurricular because it's not a student organization, but it does make you unique and it shows commitment outside of school. So think about those community organizations that you are already a part of. Also think about, do you provide for others? Do you care for your own children? Are you an older sibling and you help provide for younger siblings? Maybe you help provide for nieces and nephews. Anything that shows responsibility, commitment beyond just classroom activities. These are things that you want to highlight and show. And sometimes it's things like this that we forget, that we don't think of as being extracurricular activities. Hi. So the next 6 minutes, we're going to talk on the presentation about where to find funding, some scholarship search engines, some local scholarship resources, exemptions, and waivers. So if you want to cut about 6 minutes out of the presentation and jump directly to where I talk about a scholarship reviewer's perspective on tips and tricks for writing your scholarship application, your essay, your letters of recommendation, jump ahead to about 11:53 in the presentation, and you can cut out about 6 minutes of the presentation. If you're not interested in the finding of the scholarship, you just want to get down to the scholarship application. All right? So where do you find scholarships? So there's 3 baskets of money, okay? You have your federal and state basket, and that you determine by filling out the FAFSA. That's federal and state, grants and loans. Then you have your institutional money, so like the South Plains College Scholarship, Texas Tech University Scholarship. The institution has that basket. And then you have outside scholarships. So outside scholarships are going to be things like the Coca-Cola Scholarship, the Tylenol Scholarship, the Hispanic Women's Association Scholarship. I could have a scholarship for people with curly hair if I wanted to. These are outside sources. They're not federal, they're not state, they're not institutional. So we get questions a lot about how do I find scholarship money? These are some resources. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just some of the ones that I've found. First thing, you never pay a fee to get a scholarship application. You never pay a fee to do a FAFSA application. If you are asked to pay something, you probably need to run away, okay? Now, there are some people, agencies that say that they help with scholarship searches. You know, you have to figure out if that's something you want to do or not, if that's legitimate or not. I would research that very carefully because a lot of these resources can be found online for free. One of the things to look at with scholarships is, yes, everybody wants to get the Coca-Cola scholarship, this big scholarship. We all want the $10,000, the $20,000 scholarship. But you also want to not neglect the $500 scholarship, the $1,000 scholarship that is local. Maybe that's not as big a dollar amount, but that you're only competing with a smaller group. So I do recommend looking in your own backyard, looking in this area, your local agencies. These are some local scholarships. Community Foundations of West Texas, they maintain a scholarship list, so you might check that out. Hispanic Women's Association of Lubbock, they have a scholarship, 100 Black Men of Lubbock, or West Texas actually. Urban Scholarship, so there's 29 counties that Urban Scholarship, you have to live in this county to be eligible for. Lubbock County is one of the counties. You'd have to go online to look at the list. It usually has a June, July deadline, so it's a later deadline, so you definitely want to check that one out. Do you get your electricity from a co-op, like South Plains Electric Co-op? That you might be eligible for the Golden Spread Electric Co-op, so you might want to check that out, you know. The SLOW Scholarship, again, for Texas residents, it's a very excellent scholarship. You definitely want to check that one out if you live in the area. So those are some local scholarships that you might look into. Also, these are some free scholarship search engines. So these are totally free. If you're a Native American student, you want to look into these areas. Scholarship information, that's just kind of a laundry list of scholarships, are these 2 websites. The Minnie Piper Stevens Compendium, can't say the word, of Texas. This has information about application deadlines, scholarship deadlines, financial aid deadlines for schools across the state of Texas. And then these are some search engines. So FastWeb and scholarships.com, those are the two that I've heard of the most. These are going to be like databases where you go and create a profile. You answer several questions about yourself, and then they start emailing you possible matches, okay? You have to do the legwork. You have to dig through it, find out the ones that match you, the ones that don't, and then apply. Also, there are some apps. Scholly is the one I've heard of the most. I've not checked it out myself, but I have read reviews online. So you might check out the apps for Android and iPhone. Again, part of scholarships is completing the FAFSA. A lot of scholarships want that EFC number from your FAFSA, or they want to at least know that you have completed the FAFSA. So make sure that you do your FAFSA. As continuing students, you probably know how to do this, but here is a slide on how to do that. Some basic tips. The main thing is, especially if you are transferring, make sure that you are checking the college email and student portal of your potential school as well. So if you're transferring to Tech, if you're transferring to Angelo State, make sure that when you do your FAFSA, one, you list that school on there for the following year. Also, that you check their college email and student portal. If they ask you for information, you need to send it to them. The other thing is, in the state of Texas, we have certain exemptions and waivers. Those can all be found at the College for Texans website, okay? So they have a section about exemptions and waivers. I believe it's under their Paying for College tab. These are some of them, okay? There are more, but these are some of them. So some things, again, that make you unique, all right? Do your parents get TANF? Were you a foster care or ward of the court? There's actually a tuition waiver for foster care, okay? Full tuition waiver, by the way. So this has to be accessed by a certain age. So I believe you have to access this by 25 years of age. Are you a blind student or deaf or hearing impaired? Now on the hearing impaired, I don't know if it's 100% or not. So you need to look online. What's the percentage of hearing impaired that you have to be to qualify for this exemption of all tuition and fees? So this means if you're exempt of all tuition and fees, if you get Pell, that Pell grant can be used for all of your other expenses because your tuition and fees will be waived. So check out these things online. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about, from a scholarship reviewer's perspective, what do we look for? First, on a scholarship application, nothing is really optional, okay? It may say optional, so it may be like resume is optional, essay is optional. So you're like, sweet, I don't have to do it. Okay, that's fine. You can turn it in that way, and maybe we will accept it and review it. But understand, I'm probably scoring based on a rubric, and that rubric says, give the resume, score it based on 1 through 5 points. Score this essay based on 1 through 5 points. Score this letter of recommendation, 1 through 5 points. So you can turn it in without it, but you won't get any points for it. So I would recommend, if it says optional and you have the ability to do it, turn it in. Also, make reviewing your application easy. Why do you want to make me work for something when I'm trying to review 75 to 100 applications? So if they say upload your document in a certain format, if they say upload it as a PDF, upload it as a PDF. Don't upload it as a Word document. If they say upload it as a Word document, don't upload it as a Google Doc. Upload it as what they tell you to upload it as. This is why. A lot of times we're reviewing this through a online portal or an online software system. And sometimes those online systems do not like certain types of documents. So here I am after work trying to review scholarships, and you upload something as a Google Doc. And I'm just using that as an example. And this particular software that I'm using doesn't like it. So now I'm having to contact the scholarship coordinator and say, this person did not upload it in the right format. Well, one or two things are going to happen. Either they're going to say, just don't score it and you get 0 scores. Or they're going to say, let me go and get it. And da-da-da. Well, even if they go and get another copy of the document and convert it for you and upload it, I'm already annoyed because I'm having to do all this extra work before I review your essay. And I move on to the next person because I don't have time to just keep doing this. So just follow the instructions. Turn in all required documents. I have been on scholarship review committees for other programs where if it was missing, that application went in the trash. So don't put yourself in that situation. Turn everything in that you need. Make sure you follow the instructions. When you're writing your essay, if they ask for A, B, and C, answer A, B, and C. So if they ask for career aspirations, how South Plains plays a role, and what do you plan to do after South Plains College, answer those 3 things. And have somebody else read your essay with the prompt so that they can read it and say, yeah, you answered these 3 things. Because when you're writing it, it's hard for you to evaluate that. Have somebody else read it, and then they can, as a reviewer, kind of go, yeah, you answered career, you answered how South Plains is playing a role in that, and you answered what your future goals are. Because again, I'm scoring on a rubric, possibly. So I'm sitting there going, give 1 to 10 points on what their career goals are. Give 1 to 10 points on, how South Plains fits into this career goal. Give 1 to 10 points on what their future stuff is. So if you don't answer all of those, you don't get points. Keep that in mind. Follow the rules on page limits, especially on that essay. So if we say 1 page and you write 1 page and a paragraph on the next page, I'm not reading that last paragraph. It was 1 page. Okay? Letters of recommendation. If we ask for 2 and you turn in 6, it's great that you turned in 6, but realize I'm probably only going to score the first 2 that I read. So I hope it was the best 2. So just realize sometimes it's not a good thing to turn in more stuff. If they ask for 2, turn in 2, and then kind of leave it at that. Think about what makes you unique and different. We've already talked about that. Also, with your essays, one of the best essays I've ever read actually was a student who she was like, look, I'm middle income. I'm not going to qualify for Pell. I don't qualify for a lot of need-based aid. But she actually had a projection of, this is my total cost, this is my total resources, this is how much I make for work, and this is when I'm going to run out of money. It had such thought in it, and it was such a unique way to present it, that she got really good points on that essay. And I'm not saying write your essay that way. I'm just saying think about how you're going to make your essay unique, because when we're reading 70 of these, it can get a little bit like monotonous sometimes. And the last thing is sometimes you need to address the elephant that's in the room, okay? So if you have a low GPA, if you had a 0.0 the first 2 semesters you were here, because when you came here you were 18 and you were not prepared for college and you were not a serious student, you need to address it because we're going to see it. We're going to see your transcript, okay? You want to put your spin on that story, okay? And in that instance, usually what I see is when you were 18 years old, you came and you flunked out, and then I see a 5-year gap or a 10-year gap, and I see somebody that comes back and they have a 3.0 and a 3.0, but because that first semester was so bad, their GPA is not great. So you want to tell the rest of your story and put your own spin on that rather than, leaving it up to me. Letters of recommendation. People that are writing you a letter are doing a huge favor for you. Make sure that you make their life easier. Give them plenty of time, 2 weeks minimum to do that. Don't do it at the last minute. Make sure you ask for a letter of recommendation, not just I need a letter of recommendation, thanks. You need to ask. Also, I used to write a lot of letters, about 200 letters a year in another program that I worked for. Make it easy for them. So if you can give me a resume that has your major, your GPA, your extracurricular activities, your student organizations, because I may know you, but I don't know you're president of XYZ organization and that you facilitate an annual, Toys for Tots run every year. I may not know that about you. Your essay, so that when I write my letter, I'm talking about the same goals that you have in your essay. I'm not talking about how you want to be a counselor when you're applying for a scholarship for teachers, because you've changed your mind in the 6 months that I've talked to you. And then also the form that I need to fill out if there is a form. Next bullet. So sometimes we get busy. It's nice for you to remind us, but you don't want to act like you're reminding us. A good way to remind somebody, but not really remind them, is to send a thank you email a week before maybe the item is due. And you're going to thank them for writing your letter of recommendation. You appreciate so much what they're doing for you. You understand it takes a lot of time out of their day. You just wanted to ask if there was anything else that you needed to get to them to help them write that letter. You do that about a week before the deadline. It's a reminder, but you're not reminding them. It's a nice way to do it. Make it easy for them and be thankful. Final words about that. The number one way to not get a scholarship is to not apply. It's just like, how do you not win the lotto? You don't buy a ticket. So you want to make them tell you no. Two last things. So if you are transferring, you can look up college cost at these two websites. So College Navigator and the College Cost in Texas at College for All Texans. So two good resources there. And then also you can research your college options at the collegescorecard.ed.gov. These are government websites, okay? So this is not Kelly trying to sell you on a school or, College Board or anybody trying to sell you on a school. These are, the government. It's just the data. But it is something for you to look into. What's their graduation rate? What's their placement rate? What's their cost? You can look up all that information online. That is a part of your total picture. So anyway, a little bit about scholarships. Hope that was helpful for you. Don't forget March 1, South Plains College scholarship application. Please turn that in, and we look forward to seeing you.